Hi, Mom. So I got my ticket home from Europe. I get back on June 6th, but it's a really late flight because that was the cheapest, so it gets in at midnight. But don't worry, I'll get a shuttle from the airport so you don't have to pick me up. Like, really, seriously, you don't have to. Okay, so, love you. See you soon. Bye.
In 2013, a small indie game called Gone Home quietly entered the gaming world and left a permanent mark. Developed by Fulbright, this first-person walking simulator defied traditional gaming norms and prioritized storytelling, emotion, and atmosphere. Today, we're taking a deep dive into what made Gone Home the game that defined its decade, and how it could still have an impact in 2025, more than a decade after its release. In this game, you play as Katie Greenbriar, returning home after a year abroad. It's late at night, the house is unfamiliar, and your family is nowhere to be found. On the door is a troubling note that reads, "Katie, I'm sorry I can't be there to see you, but it is impossible. Please don't go digging around trying to find out where I am. I don't want anyone to know. We'll see each other again someday. Don't be worried. I love you, Sam." After finding a hidden key inside of a cupboard, we are able to enter our family's house. And from the moment you step through the door, the game sets its tone. Quiet, intimate, and full of mystery. With just a slight tinge of horror. Not gonna lie, this setting creeped me out quite a bit. But you see, despite giving off some scary vibes, Gone Home isn't about fighting enemies or solving complex puzzles. Instead, it's about exploration. Reading notes, opening drawers, and piecing together a deeply personal story about Katie's family. It's a game that respects your curiosity and rewards your attention to detail. Finding certain objects will even give you a little dive into Sam's story, the one who left that mildly concerning note on the door. The first tidbit being after you find a mover's invoice.
Dear Katie, so much has changed, even just since you've been away. We moved into this house. I'm in a new school, and my big sister being gone for a year doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't feel real, but I'm not gonna let it faze me. I used to tell you everything, and if I can't do it in person, because you're off gallivanting around who knows where, I'll tell it to this journal, just like I was talking to you.
This is where we first learn that Sam is Katie's younger sister. Further exploring of the family foyer reveals that Katie also lives with a mom and a dad. Janice Greenbriar, her mother, is a senior conservationist for Takelma County, and Terry, her father, who is a writer and well-known reviewer. Heading into the left hallway, we find a postcard Katie sent and a random photo of some girl in a military uniform. This photo seems incredibly random, but it's one of those famous subtle foreshadowing moments. That's not important to us right now, however, as we head into Terry's study to learn more about him. Terry's study shows that he's a bit more than just a reviewer and writer. He's also a pretty hardcore theorist. Next to his typewriter, you can see many ideas that he came up with, mostly involving JFK, you know, the president that kind of got, well, his term ended abruptly, we'll just say that. Either way, Terry seems to love coming up with stories and theories about this event. Now, I can't make fun of this man. If you're a fan of my channel, you will know that I myself am a bit of a theorist. But there's one thing we do find out about him by searching his connected library. He seems like a relatively good dad. And we even find a book he wanted to give Sam to help her become less of an outcast. Whether this was a jab at Sam or genuine concern, we don't know, but it does give us a little bit more dialogue.
You know that feeling where the first moment you see someone, it's like they have a big gold star around them, and you have to get to know them? Well, there's this girl. I think she's a senior. She's usually dressed kind of punk, but sometimes I see her in this, army uniform, and she's always drawing in this notebook, looking so intense. I had no idea how I would ever, have an excuse to talk to her. Till I noticed she and her friends hang out and play Street Fighter at the 7-Eleven every day after school.
Now things are finally starting to click into place about this game. Sam seemingly has a fondness for another girl. A fondness that may even be romantic in nature. Now, with this game taking place in the ripe year of 1995, that topic wasn't exactly the most popular, so there was many ways this could play out. To find out, we would need to explore the house further. In a closet connected to the hallway, we find a crudely written story by Sam in grade 2, and it's a story, alright. And then we find a room with a bar, and upon opening the closet, we find a jacket alongside many of Terry's books, The Accidental Pariah, and the note inside of the jacket reads, "Janice, thank you for having Danny over to your new home. He has missed having his friend Samantha in the neighborhood very much. Danny asked if he could lend Samantha his Nintendo Street Fighting tape, and I gave him my permission. He needs to spend less time with those games anyway. No hurry returning it. Let Samantha know that she is welcome back to our house to visit anytime. Sincerely, Mary Shoots." Followed by another monologue.
When you live in one place your whole life, your next door neighbor is kind of like your default friend. And Daniel only got weirder over the years. So moving away has been a good excuse to, not see him anymore. But he did always have the good Nintendo games. Maybe I'll give him a call.
So, what exactly did this monologue teach us? Not much, besides the fact that Sam considers her good childhood friend, Danny, not much of a friend anymore. This is a good example of world-building filler, and most games have it, even non-story games. But this game does it very well. This monologue has no real connection to the end of the story, but it really shows Sam's timid and unconfrontational nature. She would rather allow her friendship with Danny to decay naturally than cut things off. Again, in the long term, this truly means nothing, but it does allow us to understand Sam's character just a little bit more. In the hallway directly outside of the bar room, we find another note in a dresser. This one directed between Lonnie, the girl Sam seemingly has feelings towards, and Sam. It reads, "Hi Lonnie, so if you wanted to come over to my house still this afternoon, that would be cool. I can drive, it's kind of afar, but I can drive you home too. So hopefully that's fine. Write back and leave this in my locker if you still want to. We can meet in the parking lot after 6. Lonnie then wrote back, "Yeah, I am totally in. See you there. Then I'm gonna kick your butt," spelt wrongly by the way. "Get ready, L." And then a fun little graphic, leading us into yet another monologue from our sister, Sam.
So you know what they say about the best laid plans of mice and men? Yeah, turns out it applies to Street Fighter too. At least I worked up the courage to walk into the 7-Eleven and ask for a turn, but all that practice at home did not exactly translate in the wild. So after I was finished getting my butt kicked, I followed them outside while they smoked. And that was when she asked me if I was that psycho house girl. But then she said she's always really wanted to see the psycho house. Her name is Lonnie. She's coming over tomorrow.
Wait, what? Psycho House? Where was this mentioned at all? Oh, right. You see, Gone Home has a story, and it's a linear one, but the game allows you to explore pretty much wherever you would like to right when you enter the house. So somehow I missed a little bit of lore. It wasn't that big of a deal, as I found a school orientation letter that gave us this crucial information.
Oh my god. You are so lucky you finished high school before we moved into this house. So, it's the first day of school, and there I am, introducing myself to the class, and I say that I just moved into the house on Arbor Hill. All of a sudden, every kid in the room turns and just stares like I suddenly transformed into a mutant. I just stood there, wishing pretty hard for a rewind button. Because now maybe nobody knows my name, but they all know who I am. The Psycho House girl. Great.
Okay, now that that little hiccup is over, we know that Sam doesn't exactly have the best reputation at school, over something she very obviously can't control. This is a real problem at schools even today, but all of that doesn't matter to Sam because the one person she seemingly cares about, Lonnie, thinks that she's cool because of it. So far, this game really seems wholesome, but we all know how these games end. Heading upstairs, we begin to learn even more about Sam's story, finding and picking up a cassette tape case for Bratmobile's song, Potty Mouth, gives us this monologue.
It's weird hanging out with girls. Daniel was around ever since I was little, and other girls? I don't know. But being around Lonnie is like instantly just right. I gave her the grand Psycho House tour and took my revenge on Super Nintendo. And it was like, I don't know, I finally found someone I feel normal around. I drove her home and she gave me this tape and said, "You have got to listen to this." I haven't stopped playing it since.
We then enter Sam's room, where we find a few cassettes and a cassette player, some interesting but ultimately filler lore, and finally a code-locked locker. That would be something we for sure would have to come back to later. Across the hallway, we find Sam's bathroom, and yeah, that seemed pretty intentional, but luckily it was just dye. Dye that, when picked up, led to yet another monologue.
Lonnie brought her hair dye over today. She said, "I need to fix these roots. Think you could help?" Dyeing hair is weirdly intimate. I don't know if I've touched someone else's scalp before. It's pretty intimate, right? It felt intimate. We looked in the mirror together after, and I expected her to say something about how it looked crappy or good or whatever. But that's when she said, "You're so beautiful." And she was looking at me. Right in that moment, I wanted to say something, but I waited. And the moment was gone.
Missed opportunities. Something we all have probably had growing up. You know, fumbling the baddie or whatever. This is a callback to the story with Danny. We know that Sam is unconfrontational and a bit timid, so this would be a hurdle she would have to overcome if she, wanted to be with Lonnie. We then explore their mom and dad's room, which yields nothing except for a wild condom. Haha, sex joke. And then we come across the guest room with a note under it. It reads, "Katie, Mom and Dad were going to make up the guest room for you to stay in over the summer, but you came home on such short notice that they weren't around to do it. You can use my room if you want. I won't be needing it anymore. Sam." This is the first hint that something might not be quite right. What does Sam mean by "I won't be needing it anymore"? Remember, Sam is still in high school, and it's not exactly common for high schoolers to move out of their parents' home. Could this have a darker meaning? The guest room was pretty loreless, with just a few world-building elements and whatnot, but things really start to pick up when we find a note sent to Sam by Lonnie about a Misfits concert that she should go to for Halloween. We then get this monologue.
Sometimes you just have to lie to Mom and Dad. Like when Lonnie asked me to see a band with her and stay over at her friend's place in the city after. That's a lie to Mom and Dad's situation. But it was so worth it. The girls on stage were just so loud and real and awesome. And everybody was moving together like one huge tide of sound. Between two songs, Lonnie leaned over and said, "How do you like your first show?" I was so happy. I felt tears starting in my eyes. And then she up and hugged me. I think she could tell.
With this, we know that it's very clear there's some type of chemistry between both of them. I mean, we obviously know that Sam likes Lonnie, and if it wasn't clear that Lonnie liked Sam thanks to the last monologue, well, this solidified it. In a room connected to the same room we found the Halloween note at, we find a letter showcasing some hidden passages around the house. Some costumes Sam and Lonnie had that were connected to her childhood story, and this sick table that genuinely would blow my mind if I had one in real life. Heading outside, we plan to check out one of the secret passages, but first this catches my eye. The attic. Apparently used as Sam's darkroom, it's locked, but it states that you shouldn't enter when the red lights are on. Why are they on? Another worrying thing. Inside Mom and Dad's closet, we find the panel and open up a secret staircase. This leads us to the library. It's neat, but no real story here. We then head to the next hidden secret, a loose panel outside of Sam's room, where we find a Ouija board and half of Sam's combination to her locker. And then finally, the last secret was another loose panel downstairs, where we find a modern remade version of Sam's childhood story, which I would read for you guys, except due to my slow reading speed, that would make this video like 10 years long, so pause if you would like to read it. It's not super important to the story, but kind of shows how Sam had unrepressed her desires. It also shows just how creative of a writer she really is. We also find the other half of her combination lock, so we head back upstairs to do some snooping, where we find a clear picture of the girl Sam had been talking about, Lonnie, which gives us this monologue.
Lonnie came over today, but everything was different. She was sitting at my desk chair, and she wouldn't look at me. Finally, I asked her what was going on. She said she felt like she'd done something wrong that night in the city. Like I must think... But I said no, there was nothing wrong. I just wanted to say... But I couldn't find the words. I felt like I was gonna cry, but I wasn't sad. She got up and sat next to me on the bed. I looked at her. Lonnie, do you think you could ever... And that's when she kissed me.
Boom! Happy ending, game over, all done, woohoo! Except, of course, that's not the end. We got the key to the basement from Sam's locker and make our way down there, where we find this cute drawing and an equally cute monologue.
It's different now. I mean, we still hang out all the time like before. But now when no one else is around, well, you know, so you could say we're dating. But it's secret. Secret dating? I don't know. I mean, I guess that's the real difference. Now when we get off the phone or go home for the night, or it's just quiet and we're alone, we say I love you.
Of course, you can't have a love story without drama. Further in the basement, we find a note that seems pretty great. It's Sam's acceptance letter to a prestigious summer program for a college. Unfortunately, we get this monologue after reading it.
I'm so stupid sometimes. I was telling Lonnie that I got into my college summer program thing, and I was all making plans like, you should come visit me, stay in my dorm room. But she said, Sam, I ship out on June 6th. I was like, ship out? To where? She said, to basic training. What did you think I was doing all that ROTC stuff for? I guess she's been planning to join the army right after high school since she was like 12. And I guess she's really going to do it. So I was like, after graduation, I'm just never going to see you again? She said, let's just have fun while we can.
The expected bombshell on an otherwise perfect love story. Now, I know, out of all things, this doesn't really even seem that bad. But when you're young and in love, stuff like this can really seem like the end of the world for you. But let's see how Sam is actually handling this situation.
Todd's band lost their singer. Todd said he sucked. Lonnie said he got sick of Todd's shit, and he was complaining about needing a new singer. So Lonnie was like, I can sing. And they were all kind of like, you can? And she was like, probably. But she's been rehearsing with them for like a week now. And I finally got to see them play in Todd's basement today. And she's actually really amazing. I feel so proud when she's on stage. It's incredible being in awe of someone you love. So everybody knows it's like a temporary situation till she ships out in June. But till then, I'm gonna be at every single show.
It really seems like Sam is handling this news well, or is that just denial of what's to come? Well, further into the strange basement that is the Greenbriar's home, we find a reprimand letter against Lonnie, and it gives us a better view on Sam's true thoughts on her.
I don't get Lonnie sometimes. Like, her band, and our zine, and her hair, and everything are all anti-authority. But I watch her in JROTC, and she's doing drills in perfect formation, following orders, no question. And there's all this stuff in the news about don't ask, don't tell. Like, she's going to join the army and then have to lie about who she is. She said they don't need to know what they don't need to know. Like it was no big deal. This from the girl who trashed her locker to, like, defend my honor. I've learned when to stop arguing, though. I I don't think Lonnie even gets Lonnie sometimes.
For those of you who don't know, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a policy in the United States military that promoted closeted members of the military, but barred openly gay, lesbian, or bisexual people from serving. This was enacted during the Clinton administration. Also, I guess barred from the military is a bad way to put it. No, if you were openly homosexual or bi, you would literally be undesirably, or even worse, dishonorably discharged. And this lasted until 2011? Holy sh**. While this policy was its own can of worms and a blemish in America's very dark and surprisingly recent past, it meant one thing: Sam and Lonnie's relationship would be doomed. She obviously couldn't risk getting caught while in basic, otherwise she would risk severe penalties. As you can see, this was very, very bad for the budding romance, and would surely kill it before it had the chance to blossom. We hear a monologue about Sam getting more concerned, understandably, after finding one of Lonnie's military caps.
I asked Lonnie what she had to do to get ready to ship out for basic training. She said, not a lot really. You're not allowed to bring anything with you. You have no possessions, no contact with the outside world while you're in basic. You just train hard every day, and then you deploy from there. So, they'll just send her away. To who knows where. The other side of the country? The other side of the world? My mind, can't process it. That she's really going to be gone. Just gone.
After that heartbreaking monologue, we learned that Lonnie and Sam spent some time together while Mom and Dad were on a trip that lasted from June 2nd to June 7th. And ironically, Katie, our protagonist, who we still haven't really learned a lot about, returned on June 6th, the day Lonnie was due to be sent off. So that explains why we can't find Mom, Dad, or Lonnie, but where is Sam? We find another hidden panel, something this strange manor has no shortage of, and in it is a brochure for one of Lonnie's going away shows. Her last show ever.
Lonnie had her going away show with her band tonight. She's so incredible on stage. When she was singing, I could practically forget everything. That we only had 48 hours left. That I don't know what comes next. That I can't live without her. Then she dedicated the last song to me. And I couldn't take it. I was out on the curb in the alley, sobbing till my ribs hurt. I would follow her anywhere, Katie. But I can't. Where she's going. After a long time, she found me. She said she was sorry. She said, I wish things could be different. I just wanted to make you happy. I said, I don't think you can anymore.
Sam is very clearly and understandably heartbroken, and luckily for her, Lonnie feels similarly, but she's dead set on her path, with a note sent to Sam found in some jeans in the dryer stating, I wish I knew how to explain it better. The army is this thing I grew up with, it's part of me. My dad's army friends are like family, I've always known it was where I'd end up. I'd never thought of it any other way. I wish things could be different. Maybe someday when I'm settled at base and you're done with college and you're a famous writer and I can rebuild a tank engine with my eyes closed, things will be different and we can be together. Until then, L. You could tell that both of them are in pain, wanting something that they can't have because of societal blockers. That's when in the greenhouse we find a note that shows us the location of a hidden room under the stairs where Lonnie and Sam planned one of their last Ouija board activities to talk to the manor's ghost that they thought they had, Oscar, one last time.
We agreed our last night together would be our happiest ever, and we'd forget tomorrow was going to come at all. It worked for a while. We had a good time seeing Oscar off, then ran up to the attic to look through our photos, to find one for Lonnie to take with her. And looking at them, I realized they were all in the past. And there wouldn't be any more. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I cried. And she held me. She said she knew it was hard, but life would move on. I said I didn't want my life to keep moving without her. That's when she cried too. I was so exhausted. I must have fallen asleep like that, in her arms. In the morning, I woke up, and I was finally alone.
Under the stairs, we don't find much, but we do find a picture of the late Oscar and a key to the attic.
The sunset light in this house is the saddest thing I've ever seen. I just want to sleep. When I'm in the attic, it almost feels like Lonnie could still be here. She's just downstairs. I'm just waiting to hear her pull down the hatch and come running up. Maybe I'll go up to the attic and wait.
Finally, we get to see what's up in the attic. And with the monologue we just heard, I prepare myself for a grisly scene. Maybe this is where the game takes the expected dark turn. But it doesn't. In fact, there's nothing up here. So where's Sam?
Oh my god. Katie. I fell asleep in the attic, in Lonnie and my old spot, and I missed the first 2 calls. I just barely caught the third one before the machine got it. And it was Lonnie, on a payphone. She'd been on the bus to Basic, and she said she couldn't think of anything but me and us, and that she couldn't go through with it, with the army and being apart and all of it. And so she got off the bus in Salem. She said, "Sam, I want you to pack up everything you can and get in your car and come find me. And let's just drive until we find somewhere for us." And she asked me if I could do that. And I said yes. Yes.
And just like that, the game ends. There was no dark twist, no deeper meaning, just a nice love story hidden behind the potential of much darker themes. And honestly, I like that. Too many games focus on cheap, bad endings. I mean, almost every modern horror game has one, and it seems like bad endings are more common than good ones nowadays. It's very easy to inflate a game's emotional value by giving you an unsatisfying and sad end. But this one doesn't. No, Sam and Lonnie do get to be together, and live happily ever after, even after making you think countless times that something dramatic was going to unfold. It's a story that was previously untold in the mainstream gaming world, and it was told in a way that was incredibly uncommon for games in its time period. It presented itself as a walking simulator, which at the time was pretty unique. Remember, this was before masterpieces like The Stanley Parable or Firewatch, 2 incredibly well-known and beloved walking simulators, came out. So it seems like this game may have been one of the most influential of its decade. So why does it have so many negative reviews? That has to do with 2 factors. The first was the rise of Gamergate. If you don't know what Gamergate is, well, it was an unfortunate rise of misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, anti-Semite, racist, the list literally goes on, group of people who would actively wage war on games that didn't align with their moral compass. That's actually putting their actions lightly too, because they literally harassed and targeted women in the video game industry, but that's off topic. Either way, this group became big in 2014, yep, 1 year after Gone Home was released. A game about a love story between 2 lesbians. You can see where I'm going, right? So yeah, that reason was very uncool. But there was another reason. The price on release certainly didn't help either. Nowadays, this game is mostly on sale, which is a lot better, and it was even given out to Xbox players with gold for free in the October of 2017, which is how I own the game. And while I personally enjoyed the game for all it had going for it, I can't say it's worth the money. It's incredibly short, I went into the game blind and finished it in a mere 2 hours, and of course, it's a walking simulator, so it has no replayability whatsoever. And it also means the gameplay is very lackluster. If I had to describe the gameplay, I would say, what gameplay? You literally walk around and listen to and read stories for 2 hours. But you know what? That's okay, because Gone Home did something unique to pave itself as a cultural success. It may not have been the game of the decade, far from it, but it told a non-traditional story in a non-traditional way and became a game that shaped its decade. Wow, okay, so yeah, there's my first non-Don't Starve video I made in a while. If you liked it and want to see more game reviews and story analyses, please make sure to leave a like, and hey, if you're new here, please subscribe. As with most of my edited videos, all of the raw footage with commentary has been uploaded over on my Extras channel, but if you want to go watch it now, then here you go. This has been Polarlotus, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.